He throws it out there, speaks his mind. That's cool.
It's Ramie.
He's supposed to make people laugh. He's just an expert at it.
Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
That is the show. No Cattles, just Ramie today, though. JJ, Chris Verlade on the other side of the glass with you for just over an hour, taking you right up to A's baseball this afternoon here on Sactown Sports 1140. Jam-packed hour, though, because there's football tonight, ladies and gentlemen. There is football tonight. Now, I was fired up for the Hall of Fame game, which I will admit is ridiculous, all right? I shouldn't have been, but I was. I was football starved. I was football thirsty. Call it what you want. JJ Verlade, we're not with me on that. Are we there yet on the other side of the glass? Because I am there, boys. I am
not
going
even close.
Damn, man, really? Chris, are you there yet?
I've got another few weeks.
Another few weeks. All right. I need football in my life, man. I don't know what it is. I'm usually not like this to start the preseason, but I am like this to start this preseason. I need football in my life, and we will be spending much of the next hour getting you ready for the 49ers preseason opener this afternoon against the Packers.
I haven't even seen my first fantasy football cheat sheet yet. So.
Really? What? Oh, my God. Oh, I got my draft board up in my house right now.
On the whiteboard or chalk? What are you doing?
No, I actually have, have you seen, not now. Now they all have the digital draft boards. I have, the draft boards that just look like a bunch of Post-it notes on it. You know what I mean? And they all have like a little name on them, and they're organized by round and position, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah,
you got to be playing, right? You're not serious.
No, I'm not serious. I wouldn't do that.
That'd
be crazy.
You're not one of those guys that do the mock drafts, are you?
No, come on. No, what am I?
Getting 26 Yahoo mock drafts.
Guys, am I some kind of loser over here that I'm going to spend all my time and effort and maybe even a little bit of money doing these things that you're talking about? Those
people hate me.
Those people are the worst, right? Aren't they the worst? Coming up on the show today, we will talk with my old friend, my brother from another mother, Bart Winkler of 1250 AM The Fan in Milwaukee. And you might have heard him filling in for Zach Gelb evenings here on CBS Sports Radio after this show goes off air some nights. Also, at 3:45, before we get out of here, they actually did it. If you listened to the show yesterday, you know what we're talking about. I didn't think they would do it. And they actually went ahead and did it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to have to wait till 3:45. You can always get in on the show. Text 916-339-1140. You can give us a call, 800-920-1140. And you can always comment on the YouTube page at Sactown Sports 1140. That's how you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever it is that you get your social medias. And I want to know out of the gates, how much and what do you want to see from Trey Lance tonight? Text 916-339-1140, phones 800-920-1140, and comment at the YouTube page. How much and what do you want to see from Trey Lance tonight? As far as the how much, just to put this disclaimer on it up front, I know it's not going to be much. I know that. I know that's the case. Kyle Shanahan talked about it earlier this week. He sort of laid out what the plan will be for Trey Lance. He said weeks 1 and 3 of the preseason, we'll see him and the rest of the starters, probably not weeks 2 and 4, and probably not a whole lot in week 1. And that's the approach that most teams take with their starting quarterback and most starters going into an NFL season. So I know it's not going to be much, but the question is, how much do you want to see? And if I'm a 49ers fan, I want to see some Trey Lance. I want Trey Lance to get some run tonight. First of all, just, because football. I'm football thirsty. But also, man, I don't remember who it was this morning on Get Up on ESPN, but somebody pointed out that, and this was a crazy number. I heard this and I had to rewind and go, what? Trey Lance has played 4 games of football in 1,000 days. Let me say that again. Trey Lance has played 4 games of football, actual live action football, in 1,000 days. In 1,000 days. And this dude's just going to play a few snaps week 1, few snaps week 3 of the preseason and run out there and wreck shop in week 1 of the regular season. And by the way, one of those games was at a pretty low level of college football. This dude needs some reps. This dude needs some run. This dude needs to see some live action and some speed out there on the football field. And I know he's going against the 49ers defense every day in practice, and they're a really good defense, and iron sharpens iron or whatever they say. But man, that ain't a game. That's not a full speed football game. I know we're not, but I would want to see quite a bit of Trey Lance tonight if I'm a 49ers fan. You don't just walk onto the field and start dominating this league. And I pointed out earlier this week, the first half of this schedule, you have some offenses that you might have to try and keep up with. The first 9 weeks of this schedule are just littered with offenses that you might have to try and keep up with. And I've been the first to say there are going to be some growing pains for Trey Lance. The sooner he gets some action and the sooner he gets some reps, the sooner he'll get those growing pains out of the way. And you need to get them out of the way as quick as possible, because if you can't keep up with some of these offenses, and I know the Niners defense will do some to slow all that down, but if you can't keep up with some of these offenses, you can find yourself in a tough spot after 8-9 weeks if Trey Lance isn't lighting the world on fire. So I would like to see quite a bit of Trey Lance tonight. I know we won't, but I would like to see quite a bit of Trey Lance tonight. How about you? Text 916-339-1140. Give us a call, 800-920-1140. Comment, youtube.com/Sactown Sports 1140. What do I want to see from Trey Lance in whatever time that we do see? I actually want to see some of those growing pains. I know that sounds weird, but I actually want to see some of the growing pains. Like I want a teachable moment for Trey Lance tonight. And I don't want 49ers fans to jump down his throat. I want a teachable moment because you got to get them out of the way. You kind of got to just get them out of the way because you know they're coming, so you might as well start to get them out of the way right now. I want to see some growing pains. And here's the thing. I know this isn't fair, what I'm about to say. If Trey Lance doesn't struggle at all tonight, I'll be like, first preseason game. You know what I mean? And if he does struggle, I can go his first NFL action in a while, only his 5th game in 1,000 days. Like this was going to happen. Good, you got it out of the way. Good, you got it out of the way before this was real live action football. So I actually want to see some growing pains tonight. And the other thing that I want to see, and I think a lot of 49ers fans want to see this. I want to see the thing that separates Trey Lance from Jimmy G. I want to see the thing that they've been talking about and telling us about that separates this dude from Jimmy Garoppolo and is the reason that they moved on from Jimmy Garoppolo to Trey Lance. And that's that, however it happens, whether it's with the legs, whether it's with the big arm, whether it's with the ability to get out of the pocket and improvise and make the offbeat plays. I just want to see like 1 or 2 flashes of that tonight. Just to see it. You know what I mean? Just to see it, because we keep hearing about it. They keep talking about it. And it's supposed to be the thing that puts them over the top, that puts this offense on the same level with the defense so that the defense doesn't have to carry the load and drag this team to an NFC championship or a Super Bowl while withstanding the limitations of their quarterback. I want to see that thing from Trey Lance that we keep hearing about that separates him from Jimmy G. Are you laughing because I said that thing from Trey? Okay, all right. I didn't mean it like that. Come on.
That's something you're going to have to learn about me.
Aren't we all adults here?
No, he's not. He's not. Don't worry about that.
I mean, it's already saved on the computer.
Yeah, it's probably already in the email. It's definitely been clipped. Ramie, can I say, I want to say.
I appreciate that. Yeah, go ahead.
Though, I think part of it, and I know you're a transplant, so, and I mean, as much football as I could imagine that you've watched, I'm pretty sure you didn't watch every single minute of Trey Lance's games last year, right?
No, I did not.
But so I think part of it is he's already shown those flashes.
True.
Like, he has already shown he has more mobility. He has already shown that He can create. He's already shown that his arm is probably a little more electric than Jimmy G. And I think that's why there is, as we keep continuing to play in the hype train for Trey Lance.
Yeah.
And of course, just the fact that it's something shiny and new, right, for the 49ers. So I get that part. But I do think he's already shown some things that Jimmy hasn't shown. And I think we're also now the question becomes, and even in colleges, he's shown that he can do those things. Now it's almost like the fundamentals of quarterback. He needs to show the fundamentals of being a quarterback, not the special things of a quarterback.
I once heard Dan Orlovsky put it this way, and I don't know why he didn't like coin this or trademark it and keep using it, but he said you have the art of playing quarterback and the science of playing quarterback.
Great point.
I think you're talking about the science of playing quarterback, right? Yes. The what chemicals do I put in here and what chemicals do I put in here to make all this work, and knowing just the right mix. That's true, because that is the thing that Jimmy G could do. Like he could sort of very efficiently, now he'd screw up from time to time, but he could very efficiently know where to put the ball at the right time to move the offense enough. You know what I mean? For a team that had a good defense, to move the offense enough. So you're right. That probably is the thing that is more important to see from him than what I'm talking about when you talk about the big playability and the athleticism and everything else. JJ, are you with me though when talking about wanting? I think he should get, and I never say this about a quarterback in the preseason, I think he should get some run. I think he should get some snaps, get some reps. 4 football games in 1,000 days is insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think one of the things that gets me, and this is for the NBA as well, is you always see some of these youngsters, especially in the NBA, but they're taking days off, and you're 21 years old. What are you taking days off for? Look, I understand this is a grind. It's 82 games. There's 17 games. Football's a little different. I understand that. But he's also 22 years old. As you've alluded to, he needs to see some time. Now, if he gets smacked or he's cut down by the legs or something, pull him. But long as everything is running legitly and it's okay, he's going to take a hit or two. He needs those things. And I think that's what you're saying. You want to see those things from him to know that he is a quarterback. Play him.
Got a comment here on the YouTube page from Run DMG. Says, don't worry, you and the Bears going to get a close-up of Lance in the Niners week 1.
Well, that's true.
One thing you will learn about me, I have no illusions about my Chicago Bears. All right. I have a pretty good idea what's coming week 1, guys. Don't worry about me coming in here and talking trash. No, I got a pretty good idea what's coming week 1. What do you want to see? How much do you want to see of Trey Lance tonight? And also, we'll talk about this after the break. Who and what are you watching for from guys not named Trey Lance as the 49ers open the preseason against the Packers tonight? 916-339-1140. Give us a call, 800-920-1140. Comment on the YouTube page. Back with more 49ers talk right after this.
The start of the NFL season is upon us, and Sactown Sports. Afternoon, Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
The thing about it is this, though, that I think everyone just has to be realistic about. And I think if we don't see growing pains, then Kyle Shanahan's brilliant. We're talking about a player that has started 1 year of college football, one full season. Then he played one game the next season. Then he played 3 games as a pro last year. He has played very little football at the quarterback position since leaving high school. And the football that he did play was at a lower level of competition. And so I think if we think he's going to roll right in and play at the highest level, at a high level, I think those expectations are too high for a young player with very little experience.
That was Tim Hasselbeck this morning on Get Up. The latest on the Trey Lance hype train. It's Cattles and Ramie here on Sactown Sports 1140. You can get in on the show. Give us a text, 916-339-1140, phones 800-920-1140, or you can comment on the YouTube page. Bring that beat back. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. Don't bring that beat back. Also on the Trey Lance hype train today, most of this has been like a creation of the media. Today it was one of his own teammates hopping on the train today. This was receiver Ray McLeod today, making a very, very lofty comparison.
Not even today, man. Every day he's getting better. Learning how to be a leader. Not even learning. He has it already. It's a natural thing with him. And I came in with Josh Allen at the Bills, and he gives me that same type of energy that I'm ready to take the next step energy. I wasn't with him last year, but that second year is kind of a difference for, I think most NFL players from first to second, especially for me it was, but just watching Trey every day go as a leader, be able to take control of not even just the huddle, the offense as a whole. When we're going through walkthroughs and make sure everybody where they need to be at a certain time. It's great watching him.
The Josh Allen comparison from Ray McLeod. Now, I would like to remind people that Josh Allen, not great at throwing the football his first 2 years in the league, as I like to remind people
Famously.
whenever I get an opportunity to, because the Josh Allen narrative, I mean, you talk about a Trey Lance hype train. The Josh Allen hype train is like 1,000 cars long, and it is steaming right ahead and has been for a couple of years. But most people hear that, not me, but most people hear that and they go, whoa, Josh Allen, he's the greatest thing to ever walk this earth. Is that who we're comparing Trey Lance to? And I will tell Ray McLeod and anybody else to just pump it back a little bit. Just pump it back a little bit when it comes.
You can pump that back a little bit.
To Trey Lance. Thank you, Derek Carr. How much and what do you want to see from Trey Lance? And also, who and what are you watching for from guys not named Trey Lance? Text 916-339-1140 and give us a call, 800-920-1140, or you can comment on the YouTube page, youtube.com/Sactown Sports 1140. Now, we here today, and obviously with the Trey Lance hype train being a daily segment here on the show, a lot of the talk is about Trey Lance, and well, it should be. The quarterback has a lot to do with your success. But one thing, and I've been saying all along when we bring up the Trey Lance hype train, is he's going to get a lot of, if not all the blame if this thing doesn't go right, and a lot of, if not all the credit if this thing does go right. And that we do that with quarterbacks all the time. And I'm going to talk a lot about how quarterbacks are perceived at 4:00 and an article that really sheds some light on how they should be perceived. But we do that all the time with quarterbacks, and it's unfair. It's a very unfair thing that we do in this sport because it is the ultimate team sport. Now, the quarterback has more impact, more fingerprint on the game than anybody else, but they need the right environment to thrive. And one of the things that I worry about in the development of Trey Lance, and I'm pretty confident in the San Francisco 49ers as an organization and Kyle Shanahan and his coaching staff, but if there is one thing I do kind of worry about, while they have the weapons around him, they have the system, they have very smart coaches, the offensive line, man, and I'm not even saying that it's bad, but anytime that you have as many changing, moving parts up front on an offensive line as the 49ers do this year, with the entirety of their interior offensive line and the law firm of Banks, Brendel, and Buford all getting their first collective start together tonight, and it probably won't be for very long, like it is with the rest of the starters. But however long it is, I just want to see how those guys work as a unit, how cohesive a unit it is. Because offensive line, you can have you can have a bunch of talented guys up front, but if they aren't on the same page, and if it's not one complete picture, then very bad things can happen. And the worst thing I think you can do to a young quarterback who you're trying to develop, who you're trying to make something of, is not protect him. And if it's not right on the interior for the 49ers to start the season, these growing pains I've been talking about and telling 49ers fans to be ready for will be even worse and more painful than they need to be. Again, I think they will get that offensive line figured out, but just like I'm saying with Trey Lance, there might be growing pains for those guys up front as they figure each other out and the chemistry and everything gels for those guys up there. The other thing on the offense that I'm watching for, let me know what you're watching for, is the running backs. And we know like the first two guys on the depth chart at running back, but we've also seen for the 49ers the last few years that the depth chart can crumble pretty quick, and especially at the running back position. It's a tough position to play, and you have plenty of injuries. And the two guys that I think are listed, I don't have the depth chart in front of me, but I think are listed at 3rd and 4th at the running back position on the depth chart, should get plenty of run tonight, and that's Trey Sermon and Ty Davis-Price. And I want to see what these two guys can do in conjunction with that offensive line that I just talked about. Because Kyle Shanahan is a smart coach, and you heard Tim Hasselbeck. That was Tim, right? Not Matt. I was getting my Hasselbecks crossed. Yeah?
Tim.
That's what I thought. Talking about Kyle Shanahan and how smart a play caller and a strategizer that he is. And he's right. And I think he knows that one of the things he's going to have to do to minimize the growing pains of a Trey Lance is work that running game. And so I think you're going to see them go 3-4 deep with those running backs as the season goes along. And so what Trey Sermon and Ty Davis-Price can do when they have the football in their hands is going to be important for this 49ers football team. So I want to see some of that tonight. And I think that is one of the things that we'll get a pretty good taste of. And also, the last thing I want to mention before I bring on my boy Bart Winkler from The Fan for the Packers perspective on this and the first stop in our trip around the NFC North, just because of how much we hear about him so far in training camp, almost as loud as the Trey Lance hype train running down those tracks has been the Brandon Ayuk hype train in training camp this year. Am I crazy? Like every day there's another Brandon Ayuk story that I'm coming across. And there was him fighting with Warner. That was one of the stories. But like him doing things in camp that are impressive. And people are like, ooh, he's ready to take the next step. He's going to BA is about to take the next step. He's going to be the next guy for this 49ers offense. And I know, like JJ was saying about Trey Lance, like we've seen Ayuk perform and succeed at a pretty high level in the end. But just because of how much we've heard about him in camp this year, I'd like to see a big play from Brandon Ayuk if I'm a 49ers fan tonight. And just give me, for the football starved or football thirsty people like me that are out there, give me a little taste of what we're going to get this year and what 49ers fans are hoping to get this year. You can always get in on the show. Text 916-339-1140. Call 800-920-1140. Comment on the YouTube page, youtube.com/Sactown Sports 1140. Like I said, the Green Bay perspective of this preseason opener tonight and the first stop in our trip around the NFC North, part of our trip around the NFL. Bart Winkler, host of their morning show. He'll join me next right here on Sactown Sports 1140.
Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
The new Fords have arrived at Folsom Lake Ford. I know you've been waiting
Show has a new tag team in the afternoons.
Talking to the original tag team of ugly pukes here.
It's Cattles. It's Ramie.
Sactown Sports.
That's the show. No Cattles, just Ramie this afternoon. Getting you ready for football. That's right. Football tonight. 49ers, Packers, also coming up at 3:45. They actually did it. And if you were listening yesterday, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, wait till 3:45. I cannot believe, and I don't think anybody on this show thought they were actually going to do it, but they did it. And it was as bad as we thought it would be. And we'll talk about it coming up at 3:45. But joining me now to talk about that football and start our tour around the NFC North, part of our tour around the NFL throughout training camp and the preseason. He hosts the morning show on The Fan in Milwaukee. Also, you might have heard him on these airwaves, filling in for Zach Gelb on CBS Sports Radio. My brother from another mother. It is the one, the only Bart Winkler. Bart, how are you this afternoon?
Oh, my show got played over there?
I mean, yeah, you filled in for Gelby, and we carry Zach Gelb here on this station. So, yeah.
How about that?
Folks probably,
what's up, Rum Dog?
Folks probably heard your voice here in Sactown and on Sactown Sports 1140. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I love Sactown Sports 1140. It's my favorite. It's my favorite station.
I know you do, buddy. I know you do. Now, last time we talked, because you went through your hard feelings with Aaron Rodgers over the course of all the drama. Last time we talked, though, you were he signed the contract. You were ready to bury the hatchet, and all was good between Bart Winkler and Aaron Rodgers. Are you still there? Is it still nothing but good times and ayahuasca trips with you and A-Rod?
I mean, I don't know, like, what this guy thinks he's doing. Everything he does is a meme and a joke. He's got to be in on it, but I don't care about any of it.
Good.
I just care about football right now. And that's why the offseason has sucked the last few years covering the Packers, because it's like we're so desperate for Packers content that it becomes, well, who did Rodgers go to the movies with? You know, it's like all this stupid stuff. We don't care. But now we get the football, and I am very excited as a passionate Packer fan / owner, as you knew that was coming. I'm very excited for a few reasons. I'm very excited because this is an Aaron Rodgers-led football team. I'm excited that the special teams looks to have more focus, so they can only be better from what they were a year ago. I'm excited for this defense. I think this is going to be an historically good defense in Green Bay. The concerns, obviously they lost Devontae Adams. I think that's the big thing you look at when you're just kind of taking a bird's eye view of everything going on with each team. That's not as big of a concern to me as is the health of the offensive line. They're going to start a lot of young guys on this offensive line until Elton Jenkins comes back on the right side, and we still don't know if David Bakhtiari is coming back or when he's coming back, or when he comes back, what he's going to look like. This is a guy that got injured on New Year's Eve of 2020, missed the playoffs, missed the game against the Buccaneers, then missed all of the 2021 season except for half of a Week 17-18 game against Detroit, and now is still on the PUP list. And what worries me about Bakhtiari is it was an ACL injury, and he said, oh, the ACLs, we're past that. It's just the other stuff. Well, I don't, when you are in a medical journal and looking for the other stuff,
is that not in there?
That's usually never good. So I'm very concerned about that. I think the team as a whole is going to be very good. The concern for me is the offensive line.
And I don't want to say I told you so, and I certainly wouldn't when it comes to an injury. And you know how much I love David Bakhtiari. He was a weekly guest on one of the shows I hosted out there in Milwaukee. But I did say, like, during mini camps and OTAs, when LaFleur was trying to play it down, I said, man, this guy is still not playing football. And it seems like, Bart, that they've been trying to, and this is what football teams do. I don't hold it against the Packers or anybody else. They've been downplaying this for a long time, but it's to the point now where it can't be downplayed anymore, can it?
I don't think so. The Packers are a team, and, David Bakhtiari is so good, and he is the best left tackle in the league when healthy. He's a future Hall of Famer, at least that's what we would say up until the point of the injury. The problem for the Packers is they really need this one to work out, because they typically do not give offensive linemen that third massive contract. And so some of the names that I'll throw out, maybe you know them, maybe you guys don't, but like Josh Sitton and TJ Lang and Brian Bulaga, these were guys that were drafted by the Packers, played very well, got another contract, played very well, and then it looked like they were primed for another contract. And every time the Packers said, you know, there's a lot of wear and tear on those legs, you're getting into your 30s, this is not something that we do, it's a lot of money, it's a big, big risk. And every time they've been proven right because the production of those guys has not been what it was, and there's been some injuries. And so now they finally give a guy a third deal, and they give him a massive deal, which he deserved, but now it's just the fact that he hasn't played really on this contract. So it is a big concern. They want to downplay it. You never want to come out and say, oh my God, we don't think this guy's ever going to play again. But the timetable keeps getting pushed back further and back further. And you can look at some of these games in the playoffs and say, you know, there's a million things that happen in every game, but you can say, well, if the Packers would have had their all-pro left tackle, would they have beaten Tampa Bay 2 years ago? Would they have been able to beat the Niners? Would that have been enough to get them over the edge in the close games? You're potentially looking at 2 Super Bowl appearances you missed out on because you were missing this one guy, and it is a big concern. So they drafted some guys. Hopefully there's some depth there. But again, the big concern for me, and I think a lot of people in Packerland, is when is the offensive line going to be healthy, if the offensive line is going to be healthy. What
has been the talk among or about those offensive linemen, or not the offensive line, the wide receivers with, as you mentioned, the departure of Davante Adams? From my days at The Fan, and we're talking with Bart Winkler of The Fan in Milwaukee, I still follow a lot of people who talk and care about the Packers on the Twitters and whatnot. This Romeo, is it Dobbs or Dubs? He seems to be.
The latest Packers media guide says Dobbs. So
okay.
It's Doubs, but it's pronounced Dobbs.
There's a lot of chatter about that dude.
Well, he's making big plays, and we'll see if he gets the opportunity to do so tonight against the 49ers. But every time that there is an opportunity for him to go out there, whether it's a training camp practice or the Packers family night scrimmage, he makes a big play. And if you see him for the first time, there's some very impressive skill sets that this guy has. He dropped a little bit in the draft. He's a 4th round pick out of Nevada. So he dropped a little bit, whether it's because they didn't have enough tape on him or the system they ran. But this guy could end up being someone to keep an eye on. Now, again, we don't know much about him. We haven't seen him at game speed. Tonight will be different. But they drafted Christian Watson with pick number 34, rather. And that was the guy we're all going to look at. And now it's this Romeo Dobbs that's kind of taking the attention. 1, he's been playing well. 2, Christian Watson really hasn't played yet, and I don't expect him to play tonight. So they're going to need to get production. Obviously, Davante Adams had 10 targets a game last year, 160-some targets on the season. So they're going to need someone to replace that production. I think that they'll be able to do that. I'm really not too concerned about who they're going to throw the ball to with Aaron Rodgers back there. I think that A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones out of the backfield are great pass catchers. I think that once Robert Tonyan comes back at tight end, that will be a key weapon. I think that Alan Lazard is going to have an improvement of a season. So you are missing Davante Adams. That is a major blow, but maybe there was a tendency to focus a little too much on him, and maybe spreading the ball around by committee will be a better option for this team. This team, they have been so close so often, as you know, for so many years. And the last 5-6 years, they've had a number 1 bona fide receiver. I don't know what the adjustment is. Maybe the tweak is you don't focus on one guy in a playoff game the whole time. Maybe that gets them over the hump. Maybe it's something else. But I don't think that Davante Adams being there means the Packers are no longer a Super Bowl contender. It's just a matter of which of these guys is going to step up.
I know we're going to see a heavy dose of Jordan Love tonight. Are they still trying to convince you guys out there that he's going to be the quarterback of the Packers someday?
Well, we got to see what happens with Jordan Love. We got to see how good he is. I think that if he is good, this opens up a whole bunch of scenarios for what they're going to do. 1st round pick a couple years ago, really odd that they picked him. Since they picked him, Rodgers won 2 MVPs. Rodgers is talking retirement, but I don't see retirement in sight for him. And so they could have a guy, a 1st round pick as quarterback. If they don't trade him, they could have him for 4 years. They drafted a backup quarterback in the 1st round. And then they're going to have to make a decision on that 5th-year option. and they're not paying $20 million in a fifth year for a backup quarterback while paying $45 million for your starter. You can't put $65 million in two guys at the quarterback position. It's going to be interesting, though, because the more that they have love on this team, the more you're investing into this guy. So you're going to invest into this guy, It doesn't make sense to me. Spend a first-round pick on a guy, not spend a first-round pick on someone that can actually help. Maybe that was what cost him a Super Bowl, not getting a T. Higgins or another lineman or another defender or whatever. Have him for, 3-4 years, and then trade him off for, at best case, a second or a third? What was the whole point then? And then you spent 4 years developing him just to let him go to lose draft position. So right now he's the backup quarterback. I don't know if he balls out if another team, calls him up and say, what will you give him? If Matt Stafford's not capable with this elbow, if one of these other guys go down somewhere else, I don't know if the Packers look to trade him because then we don't have a backup this year. I'm a wee guy. We're a wee show. But I don't know, man. At some point, I think he will be the backup quarterback. I think he'll be the starting quarterback. But we're getting into, Rodgers sat for 3 years, but we might get into Steve Young's 6-year backup territory.
That doesn't happen anymore, though, especially with guys that were drafted in the first round. I don't see that happening. I wish we had more time to talk, Bart. Maybe we do it off the air sometime. You can catch him on the Fan weekday mornings, but also right here.
We're good.
Also right here on Sactown Sports 1140 when he fills in for Zach Gelb evenings on
Next
CBS.
time I'm filling for
Sports
Gelb,
Radio.
I'll have you on.
Oh, nice. Yeah, let's do that.
So the locals can enjoy a little more Ramie, who they're still getting to know. You got a great one, Sactown. You got a great one with this kid.
Miss you, Bart. We'll talk again soon.
Miss you.
And he's one of my fans. Honestly, if you're a sports fan and just like angry tirades, Bart is one of the best follows on Twitter. He's at Wink Stinks if you want to follow Bart on Twitter. At 4:00, how dumb the quarterback conversation has gotten in America these days. But after this, boy, they actually did it. I didn't think they would do it. They actually did it. We'll tell you what it is next.
It's Cattles. It's Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Jiffy Lube.
Just two guys rubbing elbows, talking sports, and lots of other stuff.
They always keep you on edge.
That's really crazy interesting.
It's Cattles and Ramie, Sactown Sports 1140.
Someday it'll be two guys. One of these days, it's going to be two guys rubbing elbows, talking sports. Weekday afternoons on Sactown Sports 1140. No Cattles, just Ramie today. JJ Verlade on the other side of the glass. A's baseball coming up about 10 after the top of the hour. We'll take you right up to that here on Sactown Sports 1140. And you can watch us over on youtube.com/Sactown Sports 1140. Like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, all the stuff. Give us all the interaction, all the data, all the numbers, so we can grow this thing and give you even better and bigger coverage of Sacramento sports and the surrounding area. Yesterday, oh, by the way, real quick, we are the home for Sacramento Kings basketball, and there was Kings news today. Free agent sharpshooter, as Chris Haynes put it, breaking the news, Sam Merrill has reached agreement with the Sacramento Kings. League sources tell Yahoo Sports. He makes the same jump from Milwaukee to Sacramento that yours truly made. I know a little something about Sam Merrill, and when I say a little something, I mean a little something.
Are you a sharpshooter, though?
I don't.
You a sharpshooter?
There's video out there of me, JJ. If you go on Twitter and you'll go on my, you'll find it. I can shoot that thing. I can shoot that thing a little bit. A little bit. It doesn't look pretty, but it goes in sometimes, every once in a while. But Sam Merrill, his role for the Bucks was either human white flag or human victory cigar. Like, he did not get a lot of run with the Milwaukee Bucks, but he can shoot. He can shoot a little bit. I don't know if I'd go so far as to coin him sharp shooter, but he can shoot it a little bit. So there's your breaking Kings news, and catch Kings basketball right here on Sactown Sports 1140. Yesterday on the show, while we were on the air, we were talking about that the Field of Dreams game out there in Iowa. It was the Cubs and the Reds. And there was a tweet that said that Fox was considering using a Harry Carey hologram at the game yesterday. That was, quote, unconvincing and possibly offensive. And as I said yesterday on the show, as someone who grew up in Chicago, diehard Cubs fan, in the era of Harry Carey, he holds a special place in my heart. He was the first guy I looked at and went, he's talking about sports and having fun and making a lot of money doing it. I want to do that. You know what I mean? So he's like an idol of mine. So part of me was like, don't do that. Don't do that to my guy. But the other part of me was like, why don't you go ahead and do that? Because I know it's going to be terrible and it's going to make for a lot of content and fun on the social medias. I didn't think there was any way they would do it. I was like, no way they're going to do this. They did it. Here's Harry Carey, I don't know from how long ago, singing the 7th inning stretch along with a hologram in a cornfield in Iowa yesterday.
All right. Let me hear you. Brother-in-law. All in one. Two. Three. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the...
It was terrible, dude. It was awful. And all due respect to Colin Cowherd and Joy Taylor, who about an hour ago were talking about this very thing here on Sactown Sports 1140. And Cowherd said a couple of times, he was like, I'm not just saying this because I work for Fox. I'm going to go ahead and believe he was saying it just because he works for Fox. They were like, this thing it was great. It was convinced, dude. That was awful. That was terrible. When they said unconvincing and possibly offensive, they were selling it short. That was unconvincing, and I'm a little bit offended. I'm not even gonna lie. That was very unconvincing and just a little bit offensive. If you care about Harry Carey and the memory and the legacy of Harry Carey, it was a little bit offensive, I gotta say.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could that they didn't stop to think if they should.
Did you guys? JJ, you didn't see it till we pointed it out this morning, and I said they actually did it. I said on the thread that, and I didn't even say what it was. I just said they actually did it, and both of you guys knew exactly what I was talking about. It was. Am I exaggerating? It was as bad as we thought it might be yesterday when talking about it on the show.
It was It was terrible. Like the quote was perfect, unconvincing, and possibly
offensive.
And you know that Fox, I mean, he went on, the song's about a minute. They probably showed this. I wouldn't say it's a hologram. It's like one of those like things on a Disney ride.
It looked like a video game.
Yeah.
It looked like they just put a TV screen up in the booth with the video game Harry Carey
And
on it.
of like the minute that it's singing, you probably see it conservatively 6 seconds.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because they show the crowd.
I experienced it through Twitter where they showed a lot more of it on Twitter.
I saw the whole thing. They showed the crowd for
most of the time,
90% of it.
So the team at Fox was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Like they're going to make they're making us do this, so let's do it for 6 seconds and then take the camera off of it. And they found the fattest version of Harry Carey that they could possibly find, to make a hologram out of
plump Carey.
But even that, like when you look at his face, it doesn't look like Harry Carey.
Look like him, dude. It was really bad.
It's like when you're playing a video game and you're creating your avatar and you're like, oh man, wouldn't it be funny if we made Harry Carey one of the characters?
That was
like, oh, that's close enough.
That was so, I mean, I didn't watch it. I didn't go home and put the game on. I opened Twitter later and I was like, oh my God, they actually went ahead and did this thing. They went ahead with this terrible idea that we heard them kicking. I did not think that they would. I honestly did not think that they would.
Unfortunately, it wasn't their most offensive thing they've done for Fox baseball.
Speaking of being offended, just real quickly, a reporter from let me just make sure I have this right. I want to give this guy the right credit because he deserves a little bit of credit. A reporter for Channel 7 News in DC was interviewing Carson Wentz yesterday and did not pull any punches in asking these questions to Carson Wentz. And I'll tell you, there's fallout from it. I'll tell you what that is right after this.
Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hello, I'm Frank Cockrell with Retirement Security Center for the weekly economic update. Social Security checks are expected to
Cattles and Ramie. Sactown Sports 1140.
Got some breaking news during the break that kind of bums me out as a baseball fan. Really bums me out as a baseball fan. Do we have like a breaking news? Because this is pretty big breaking news.
When it breaks, we have it first. Sactown Sports 1140. Breaking news.
Jeff Passan during the break of ESPN tweeting out, Padres star Fernando Tatis Jr. violated Major League Baseball's performance-enhancing drug policy and is facing a suspension. Sources familiar with the situation told ESPN. And that just sucks, dude. That just sucks as a baseball fan. Like, I'm just tired of this. Like, every time I start becoming a fan of somebody, I find out they're a damn cheater and a fraud. And one thing you'll learn about me, if I hang around Sactown Sports 1140 and don't say something too stupid anytime soon, is I just have no lenience, no patience, no respect or appreciation for PED cheats. And I come down on as hard on them as anybody, I think, in my business so far as, and I know this is going to upset a lot of people within the sound of my voice right now, I don't think Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame or any other PED cheat should be in the Hall of Fame. And I used to say that, like, if this keeps happening, I'm just going to be done with baseball. Like, it's just a fraud and a joke, and I'm just going to be done with it. And I don't know if this is just me rationalizing with myself because I love baseball so much and don't want to walk away from it. I kind of had this realization. Now, I still can't root for a guy. Once I find out he's a PED cheat, he's forever tainted in my mind, and I can't root for him. Do your time for the crime, come back, and I don't wish any ill will upon you, but I can just never be a fan of you and root for you again. You're forever tainted for me as a baseball fan. But I'm not gonna quit the sport when this crap keeps happening, because the one realization that I did have is that if you think cheating isn't as rampant in the NFL or even the NBA or any other sport that you love as it is in baseball, you're kidding yourselves. And you're the naive one, not me for continuing to watch this sport. You're the naive one. Only difference is baseball was put in a position by the embarrassment of the 90s and how out of hand and out of control steroids and PEDs got, to the point where they rendered the old record book meaningless. That they had to crack down hard on PEDs and start coming up with these big suspensions and making it a big headline when somebody gets caught doing PEDs. DeAndre Hopkins is about to serve a 6-game suspension for performance-enhancing drugs. Anybody talk about that? He hasn't even served the suspension yet, and it's already been, like, washed away as not part of his legacy. You know what I mean? Like, nobody will talk about D-Hop and his suspension for PEDs when all is said and done. For some reason, well, I don't even know, I shouldn't even say for some reason. It's because of the 90s and, like, the cloud that hangs over this sport because of the 90s. It's a much bigger blemish for the sport, for the legacy of these guys individually, than it is anywhere else. So the only reason it's a headline is because A, we care more for some reason after the 90s, and B, quite frankly and quite honestly, not to give Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball credit for this by any means, I think they crack down on it more than other sports now because of what happened in the 90s, which is a good thing. You know what I mean? More guys, I think, get busted in baseball because I think Major League Baseball's system is tougher and more strict and is catching more of these guys in the system than the other sports are. Am I lying to myself? Maybe. Chris, JJ, am I lying to myself and rationalizing it that way, or do you think I'm right in that assessment of PEDs in baseball and elsewhere? That they're just catching more people. It's not that more people are doing it. They're just catching more people.
I think that baseball cares the most,
and they're doing more to try and stop
also,
it.
On top of it, baseball is such, the statistics are so celebrated and like memorialized and stuff like that. Like if you said who's got the most tackles in the NFL, I'd be like, oh.
Right. Exactly. But you're right. The record book is so sacred in baseball that I think that's what makes it more of an offense to sports fans. Passan followed up that tweet just 1 minute ago. We now know the suspension. We know what the penalty will be. Fernando Tatis Jr. will be suspended for 80 games. Major League Baseball announced the suspension will cover the remainder of this season and will render him ineligible for the postseason. It will continue into the beginning of next year, on the verge of returning. He's done for the year. Fernando Tatis Jr.
I wonder if they knew that before they picked up Soto, and that's why they pushed to get Soto. And, because this team is built to win now. They feel like they have a window to win now. And everybody was kind of waiting on Tatis to come back from an injury. And it's interesting. I wonder if they knew that going into the trade, or they just had an opportunity to get Juan Soto, which I believe everybody should, and went and got him.
That's a great point, JJ. I hadn't even considered that. And you would think that they did know. Like, this stuff doesn't – the Padres aren't just surprised by this the way that we are, when Jeff Passan tweets it 8 minutes ago or whatever it was. Like, this stuff takes a while to go through the testing and then the retesting and then them informing the team of the suspension. I don't know how long that whole process is, but we are only, 10 days removed from the trade deadline and then pulling off that Juan Soto trade. So maybe they did know. And, man, I was about to adopt the Padres as my team once October started. I really was. Now, I think I'm out. Should I be out on the whole team? I don't know. But I think
you can't be out on the whole team because of one guy. I mean, now, I'm out on the Dodgers because of every guy, but I get where you're going with it.
Okay.
Seriously.
I was about just for October, just for this postseason run. I didn't have a dog in the fight. I was like, let me root for this Padres team. They're young and fun and exciting.
Would it not hurt as much if you found out like he took something that was supposed to lessen his healing?
I never believed that. And no, that was Ryan Braun's excuse in Milwaukee when I was there.
But it's not like Tatis is trying to bring the guy down with him.
That's true. That was the worst part about Ryan Braun.
That was
you're absolutely right about that.
The specimen.
That was both. He ruined that dude's life. That dude lived near my parents, and he ruined that dude's ruined his life. It was bad. But no, man, because part of like any sport is your durability and your availability, and so cheating to prevent it, like, hey man, I'm sorry you got injured. You know what? And if you frequently get injured, that especially sucks. You know what I mean? That's not. I don't want that for anybody, even the best player on my team's rival. I don't want anybody to get hurt. But if you can't stay healthy, like, it's gonna sound cold-hearted, them's kind of the breaks. You know what I mean? Cheating to be healthy doesn't make it better, because other guys don't go that route. And so you now have an advantage over them because you decided to take the easy road. God, that sucks. But football tonight, folks. Football tonight. We'll be talking about it plenty on Monday here in Cattles and Ramie. Thanks to Bart Winkler of The Fan in Milwaukee. Talked a little Niners, Packers. You can catch him from time to time right here on CBS Sports Radio, filling in for our buddy Zach Gelb. Thanks to Chris, JJU for listening and contributing to Cattles and Ramie on Sactown Sports 1140. Have yourselves a weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.
We got your back like chiropractic. If that do you dirty, we'll wipe her out as in detergent. Now hurry, go on to the altar.